Oh, this was a brutal test for CS2. So, if you're not noticed by the thumbnail and clicked on it, yes, I tried to use a GT 610 for Counter-Strike 2. The experience, I'll let you see for yourself. Alright, so this is a bit of the experience that I had. Drivers fully updated. This is on just a 12600K, but even a GTX 1080 does 200 frames per second with 12600K. So I tried every little setting that I could to maybe push out a little bit more frames out of this thing. As you can see right in the home screen, while we are on full screen, 16 by 9, 1920 by 1080 for the resolution. Refresh rate's just at 60 Hertz, so it's not like I'm killing it just from the monitor. Yeah, we're getting about 6 to 7 frames per second. So I put it down to windowed mode, normal 4:3, and then 1280 to 960. And we're, yeah, hitting 7 frames per second. Ooh, such a big difference there. So I kept doing it, kept going. I was like, okay, let's check everything over. Okay, settings are on medium. Something went wrong there because the settings should not be on medium for one. Why is it setting it to medium? This is absolutely brutal. So I changed the settings to low, everything low, 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 performance mode. So that way, guaranteed no quality. We want no quality, no nothing, basic as we can go for this GT 610. For this little thing to actually work, yeah, every little setting had to be put down so we can get some frames. At least more than 10 frames per second would be nice. So all the settings, everything to performance mode, all the settings down to low, everything is low, 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 low as I can go. I go back to the video and I was like, okay, well, we can switch it over to, you know, maybe full screen windowed. No, we had to keep it to windowed mode. Just had to be windowed mode. And then I put it finally. I was like, okay, well, maybe instead of the 1280 by 960, how about I put it down to 640 by 480? This looks like absolute dog water, and for one, like, I could barely read this. I'm pretty sure you guys can barely read this. This is absolutely insane. So I was like, okay, full screen windowed mode. Okay, it still wants to change it to me. Full screen still doing it, so I'll just put it to full screen 4:3. Set that setting, and it's still recording it for some reason. Kind of nice for me. But then I was like, okay, well, then we'll put it back to windowed mode and see if it helps out things a bit there. Full screen windowed, kept the settings like, hey, perfect, window mode's working, and we're getting 10 frames per second on the lowest of low settings, ultras, normal, you know, the aspect ratio down to 4:3, 640 by 4, or 4, yeah, 640 by 480. I was like, okay, well, we definitely ain't doing no death match. Let's see if we can do at least, you know, a run for the actual CS2 benchmark. Check over the settings. I'm like, okay, everything's set. We should be good. Didn't change anything. Well, I just changed it. So I just want, okay, all right, we're good. We're good. So let's run the CS2 frames per second benchmark and see what happens. I'm like, okay, can I set anything lower before I do this? No, everything's set as low as I can go. Again, it's just a 1260, 12600K, I mean, 12600K with a GT 610. RAM still just 5200 megatransfers per second. It's cheap kit of Corsair Vengeance. I don't think the RAM's going to help it at all, so let's run this benchmark here. Okay, well, see in the top right corner there, the top right corner, saying about 44. Well, as soon as we hit it, now we're hitting about 5 frames per second. It does get a little bit better. It does get a little bit better, and it kind of surprised me in a way, that we're hitting at least 10 to 20 frames per second right off, you know, the kind of the bat here. So we're seeing around 16, 11 frames per second for per 1,000 frames there. But we're right around the 11 frames, 14 frames, and then boosts up to about 20, 25 frames per second. Yes, 25 frames per second. Almost playable. If you're 100 years old and your eyes couldn't keep up to 60 hertz, this would be just fine for you. But no, no. This is brutal on my eyes. I hope you guys don't mind how brutal this is, because it is. It's absolutely brutal. again, I put everything as low as I can go. I was gonna do an overclock, but I don't think an overclock's gonna help it that much. You can't do much with an overclock on it unless you like put it on liquid nitrogen and give it more actual core voltage, which I don't have the tools currently right now to do that. I would have to get a potentiometer, some wires, and then an actual voltage controller, so that way I can set the voltage properly on this, up to like 1.3 volts, and then I need like some sort of chiller and or, like I said, liquid nitrogen to keep it cold. But I still don't think it's going to give us the frames. So yeah, we're sitting around 10, 12 frames per second. Again, all the way up to 25 frames per second, 36 frames per second there. That's right, I said it. 36 frames per second at the peak, where generally a GTX 1080 would be hitting around 500 to 600 frames per second with the exact same CPU, 12600K. And that's it. That was the run. We saw a maximum of 36 frames per second on the easiest part of the benchmark. I was like, nah, I am not going to play a game on this. I would not even be able to see anybody. My eyes are hurting and bleeding enough as is, so I said no. So do I recommend the GT 610 for CS2 even if you're on a budget? No. Do not use this graphics card for gaming at all, especially nowadays. For any games, do not even think about it. If, in my opinion, if you really need a graphics card for like some sort of display of some sort, then yes, you can use that. But again, don't stress it out with like 4K videos. You can only do 1080p max, maybe 60 frames per second out of this graphics card. This is it's DDR3 memory that's on it, and it is literally only 2 gigabytes. It's only a 2 gigabyte card. So you gotta remember, it's a 2 gigabyte card. Really, it's not much overclockable. You can overclock it, like I said, but since it's literally on a fanless, no water cooling, no chilled, no liquid nitrogen, it's not a good card. For me, I like to have it because it works good for my overclocking builds. It's a low powered card. I don't have to hook up any extra wires to it, and that's it. I will be doing an overclock on this eventually in the future with probably liquid nitrogen and a core voltage mod on it done as well. You don't need to worry about power limit mods on these ones. You just need to give it some core voltage, and hopefully you don't blow her up, basically. That's all. And that's it. That's it for this video. So again, thank you to all my viewers, subscribers, and donators. I hope you enjoyed this one. My eyes are still bleeding. It's really rough. This was the worst experience I've had with a graphics card in CS2, especially with, not even a cheap CPU. This is a fairly good CPU, and it still couldn't perform. I will be doing a UHD or integrated graphics of a 770 that is put in place with a 12600K. I will be using 12600K for running CS2, so stay tuned for that video, and I'm pretty sure it's going to do better than this GT610. As always, thanks for watching, and don't forget to get her done.